Now, we spoke about this in the previous section in terms of exploring how the actual contracts that you offer your staff determines your headcount, and it also determines things like how flexible your workforce is. Can you flex up during periods of peak demand? But also, what's the cost implications of that? So that's going to impact all sorts of things in your business. So what are some steps that you can actually take to sort of improve your contract mix, as we call it? So the actual mix, or the ratio of permanent to temporary staff, and full-time, part-time, and casual contracts. How can you build in flexibility into your business in a way that's cost optimized? So the first one is to think about your needs for flexibility versus stability. So if you're in a business where demand is fluctuating a lot, clearly you're going to be in a position where your capacity needs to grow and it needs to shrink, and you need to adapt to the sort of changes there. So what's your need for sort of flexibility there, but also what's your need for stability? So do you need to be building a really high quality, high skilled workforce? Is there part of what you do that actually takes a lot to train staff and retain them? And how critical is culture in your business around that? So you're going to be juggling those two things, like how flexible do we need to be in terms of bringing new staff into the business and flexing up, versus how stable does that core need to be in terms of investment? So that's a place to start, just being honest with yourself about what those needs of the business are, and you'll know that. From there, it's knowing your recruitment metrics and the associated costs. So yeah, what's your time to hire? What's the fill rate? What are all those things? If you know that can actually help you start making decisions around, who basically which contracts are the best to hire. If we're in periods where we need to find staff quickly, maybe we should be leveraging sort of more temporary staff, or staff on sort of more flexible contracts, because we've seen in the data that it's actually quicker to hire those staff. Or if we have those needs for stability, and we know the metrics around it, we know we need to look for more skilled or more senior or permanent staff further in advance. So we can actually start factoring that in to the capacity planning equation, and actually make more sensible decisions around that. The third one is just to give yourself more options. So if some reason your business, the policy has always been to use permanent full-time staff, you might find that the talent market for that at the moment may be drying up, or you might find that you're needing to bid up the price of the contracts for that, up to maybe record highs in terms of the labor shortages that we're seeing at the moment. Chances are you're probably not in that position. You're probably offering a few different contracts, but the more options that you provide, the better, and if you're able to offer those to staff, the better your ability to sort of retain staff on those different contracts. But also it just gives you more options in terms of more closely matching the demand and supply of labor, because you're able to pick the contracts that are most appropriate for that. So I would just sort of implore you to challenge some of your assumptions there around, what you need, what you can be working with. If you can create more options for yourself, that's going to give you more choices in terms of how you actually, pull those levers of capacity planning. And the fourth one, which I think is really the main one from here, is building that agility into the business, and using that silver lining to re-optimize after recruitment and attrition. So if someone leaves the business, we're not we don't necessarily need to just rehire on the same contract, on the same conditions, basically trying to find someone who looks exactly the same to replace that person. That is a great moment to sort of pause and think, okay, do we need another part-time permanent person? Or for instance, because we know that we're coming into a period, maybe we need to hire some more temporary, or maybe it's time to secure more labor in our business by going to a full-time contract. So I would just say use those points to pause and think about, in that moment, what's the best person to rehire. You can then look at your recruitment metrics and work out, okay, when do we need them? And based on that, when do we need to be talking to the recruitment team? That can differ by the contract length. And if you've got those different options there, maybe for instance, you could be retaining, or you could be asking other staff to switch onto contracts that better suit their needs, which actually drives down attrition. So these are all options that are available to you if you're willing to play around with the contract mix and optimize that for your business. So that's a big tip there that you can be investing in if you're not already.